The Virginia Cable Telecommunications Association and your local cable provider presents Cable Reports. Join us now as Cable Reports brings you up to date on current issues facing the Commonwealth through discussions with your local legislators and other policymakers from across Virginia.
From the General Assembly and the City of Richmond, I'm Woody Evans for Cable Reports, brought to you by the Virginia Cable Telecommunications Association and Cox Communications, connecting Virginians to their government. We're pleased to have Senator Kenny Alexander with us this morning from the Virginia State Senate. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Woody. Welcome.
Well, you survived Crossover Day. Tell us what that means and the significance of it.
Well, crossover is when all of the bills that originated in one chamber, Senate of Virginia, or the House of Delegates, that pass the respected chambers cross over to the other chamber. We're a bicameral legislature, so bills have to pass in identical fashion in both chambers in order to go to the governor for his consideration.
So some people suggest that the real work of the Senate starts now because you have to consider many more bills because the House has many more members.
2/3 more as far as legislation. Usually out of the 2,000 bills and resolutions that are introduced in a session, 2/3 of those bills and resolutions originate in the House of Delegates.
So tell us a little bit about your district and how it is faring economically.
Well, I represent part of the city of Norfolk and part of the city of Chesapeake. As you look at Virginia's economy, Northern Virginia economy is growing faster. Richmond, not as fast, but Hampton Roads is not growing as fast as Richmond and Northern Virginia. So we still have work to do. We're heavily dependent on the military, defense spending, and contracting. And as we move from defense appropriations and defense spending to more of the private sector, we are finding ourselves adjusting and transitioning, not as fast as I would like.
Yeah, I think the governor announced in his State of the Commonwealth address that Virginia had beat out, I think, 48 other states for a new cybersecurity facility at Langley Air Force Base. He also announced that in Northern Virginia, VISA was setting up a cyber fusion center. So that's sort of the dilemma we still face, if you will.
Yeah, we're heavily dependent on military spending. The federal budget is over $1 trillion, 1.1 trillion. So there will still be federal spending. Maybe not as much. You have renewable energies, you have bioscience and biotechnology and cybersecurity are the new economies. So there will still be spending and appropriations, and I think Virginia should play in the cybersecurity market as well in the economy.
And of course, where you're from, a driving force is the Port of Virginia.
Yes.
How important is that facility?
The port is huge. We're asking for about $358 million of new spending for the port, to grow our port, to market our port, to enable to handle more container traffic and more cargo, to get the products and goods to the various distribution centers around the Mid-Atlantic. And so the Port of Virginia is a huge employer. It's an economic driver for the Commonwealth of Virginia. So the Port of Virginia is a key player in our economy.
And it's becoming even busier and busier with the post-Panamax ships that are now coming into the port.
Yes, and we should even dredge and allow for more of these large ships coming in from the Panama Canal. And if we do that, Virginia, the Port of Virginia, could very well be the #1 port on the East Coast.
And we have to maintain that competitive advantage because we've got New York, they're improving their port facilities, I think Charleston,
Savannah,
and others.
Yeah. That's correct. So we have to be competitive because we want to be the first port of call and the last port of call. And one of the things that I've asked is to have more flexibility in the Port Opportunity Fund for that very reason, for the Port of Virginia to market and to promote and to display our port around the world so that businesses who are looking for a port of call, that they will use the Port of Virginia.
Because we actually export a lot of products, especially in terms of farm-related products,
soybeans,
for
chickpeas,
example.
soybeans, et cetera. And so we are exporting a lot to China and to other countries. We're opening up offices around the world. Part of this budget will include additional funds to open up trade offices around the country so that we can promote Virginia and Virginia products and Virginia services around the world.
And you continue to serve on the Transportation Committee. How important is rail to the state and also to the port?
Yes, thank you, Woody. I am part of the Hampton Roads Transportation Accountability Commission, HR TAC, as one of the members there. Rail is important, but more importantly, we have 9 critical projects in Hampton Roads that have been identified as being critical projects to unleash our economy from being stagnant because of congestion. These projects are huge. These projects are critical. We have projects ready to go to build, and additional funding is needed. And so this is huge. In order to grow our economy, we must fix our transportation network, our transportation needs to unleash the congestion that we suffer in Hampton Roads.
Well, step back a little bit, because in 2013 you were involved in the legislation dealing with increased funding for transportation in the state of Virginia. How has that worked out for your constituents?
Well, we increased sales and use tax. Now in Hampton Roads in Northern Virginia, we pay a little more, but there was a statewide increase as well to go for maintenance. But Hampton Roads in Northern Virginia, there was a special tax to help to fund projects in those regions. We're finding ourselves still about $200 million short of the revenue that we need. And we're hoping that putting a floor on the gas tax would generate about 20 million or so. But there are still additional funds that are needed. I'm not in favor of tolling existing roads, projects or facilities that are already paid for, already paved. To put an additional toll or put a new toll on something that's already paid for is not popular in Hampton Roads. There's talk about hot lanes or special roads or private-public partnerships. These projects will yield additional capacity, and maybe those lanes will have a toll. But to toll existing facilities, such as a bridge or a tunnel or road that's paid for, and not add any new capacity, is very unpopular in Hampton Roads.
So you still have significant congestion on State Road 58 through the Midtown Tunnel, do you not?
And there's additional tunnel that's being built. That tunnel should be open soon. That is a toll road. That tunnel will have a toll. The problem is that there's a toll at the downtown tunnel as well, but there isn't any new capacity at the downtown tunnel. Very unpopular. But in order to pay for the new tunnel at the Midtown Tunnel, it was packaged as one facility. The downtown tunnel, the Midtown Tunnel, and the MLK Expressway were all packaged, bundled together as one facility in order to make the financing work. However, Governor McAuliffe, to his credit, worked with ERC and was able to eliminate the toll at the MLK Expressway. So when that facility opens, there will be no toll at the MLK Expressway. However, there still will be a toll at the downtown tunnel, and that toll could last for 50 plus years.
50 plus years.
50 plus years without any new capacity at the downtown tunnel. Very unpopular, very unfair, and I'm hoping that one day we will be able to eliminate the toll at the downtown tunnel because there's no new capacity there, and it's still congestion at the downtown tunnel. Although we are hoping that the Midtown Tunnel will relieve some of the congestion, but it's not enough. It's not enough new capacity there.
And as it stands now, can that toll be increased over that 50-year period?
It can. Part of the contract that the previous governor and the previous attorney general and the previous commissioner of VDOT signed allows the operator to increase that toll over the lifespan of the contract.
But I understand now there's been subsequent legislation that at least allows members like yourself to have a say before something like that happens again.
And because of the legislation, and because of the lawsuit, and because of protests in Hampton Roads at the downtown Midtown Tunnel that I was part of many years ago, we are today seeing legislation being offered. And also the administration, to Governor McAuliffe's credit, he deemed that the downtown Midtown Tunnel contract was the worst contract that he's ever seen, and should not have been negotiated. But today we're seeing legislation, and we're seeing movement in from the governor to ensure that something like this would never happen again. And so I'm glad that this governor recognized that the downtown Midtown Tunnel contract is a bad deal for Hampton Roads and a bad deal for the Commonwealth of Virginia.
And I take it that the compromise that was recently reached concerning I-66 inside the Beltway was certainly informed about what happened in Hampton Roads.
No question about it. And you know, we learned from what happened in Hampton Roads, and legislators are ensuring that what happened in Hampton Roads doesn't happen in their districts, and rightfully so.
Tell us a little bit about another piece of legislation that you are pursuing this session, dealing with academic credits in relation to industry credentials.
Yes, yeah. And what we have discovered that all of our graduates aren't going to go to college. They aren't going to go into the military. And so what we have discovered that for every bachelor's degree and for every master's degree and every PhD, we need more credentialed or industry certified jobs in cybersecurity, in industrial mechanic, and dental hygienist, a network specialist. And so if a young person can, while in high school, dual enroll in industry certified program, and upon completing high school, they can not only graduate with a diploma, but also graduate with an industry recognized, high demand credential that allows them to go directly into the workforce and continue their education at the community college if they so choose. So that legislation is working its way through the process, and I hope that legislation ends up on the governor's desk and he signs it into law. I think it's a game changer, and it identifies high demand industry recognized programs and get these young people credentialed and licensed and certified while they're in high school.
You mentioned cybersecurity. I think I've seen some numbers that suggest currently there are about 17,000 jobs available with a starting average salary of $80,000 a year.
That is correct. That is great, and that's huge. That's a game changer. And that credential does not require a 4-year degree.
And I guess there are other opportunities in welding and healthcare and other places where students can become credentialed and obtain really good employment.
It's a game changer. It's the fastest way to move students who are stuck in poverty, who certainly may want to go to college, but they probably need to work because they may not have the wherewithal to go directly from high school to university. And this is an opportunity for them to earn a credential that will allow them to go into the workforce immediately upon completing high school.
So this is part of the new paradigm in high school. How are your K through 12 schools doing in your district?
Yeah, well, great. Great question. We have some schools that are doing very well, and we have great teachers and great administrators, and we have two wonderful school boards, both in Chesapeake and Norfolk. We do have some kids who aren't doing as well because of you have what we call high poverty Title I schools, and there are some challenges. But some of those schools have made great progress, and those schools have turned around and doing very well. Willoughby and Sewell's Point, they have been recognized for turning around. And so we need to continue to make strides in K-12 education. The governor has proposed $100 billion in new spending and in education. 800 plus of those dollars will be spent in K-12. We need to do more with the SOL reforms. The state needs to do more as relates to providing flexibility for schools who may have challenges to even start year-round, or to start early, or to go have a year-round program. Local school districts will certainly want to take advantage of that, but the state certainly needs to participate as relates to the funding, because the funding formula for K-12 is very complex. It's based on the real estate and localities' ability to pay their share, and so it's very complex. But I am all in favor of giving localities more tools as relates to starting early before Labor Day, or even going year-round for special schools with those challenges, with those unique challenges where students are lagging behind and not performing as well as they should.
What about this hue and cry around charter schools and the attempt to move that decision away from local school districts and place it with the State Board of Education?
A bad idea. A bad idea. The local government has the authority and has control of public education, and it should stay there. It should rest with the locality. To have the State Board of Education to authorize a charter school and override or preempt the local authority is troubling, because again, the funding formula, it's very complex. That will not only remove some of the best and brightest students from the traditional setting, but dollars, funding, and teachers and resources will follow. Very troubling.
Now, you mentioned additional funding for our schools. I think in the second year of the governor's budget, there's a raise for teachers and also state employees. As you indicate, however, that requires a match, a local match. Does that put an additional burden on some localities?
Well, I'm in favor of not tying our pay raise to anything. If straight pay raise, without tying it to whether or not our budget exceeds expectations, or demanding or mandating that there's a local match. I think for me, the state gives a pay raise to our teachers and our first responders and our state employees. Should not be tied to any other triggered by the economy doing better than expected, triggered by whether or not there's a local match. I think our pay raise should be just clear, straight, and not be encumbered with or coupled with anything else.
Now, you have a lot of veterans in your district. They can certainly take advantage of our community colleges and our institutions of higher learning, but I understand that a lot of them gain real life experience in theaters of war that they bring back.
Yes.
They should be able to use that to obtain a credential.
Yes, and over the years we have directed the community college system to recognize our veterans who bring in their DD-214 and bring in their credentials, and we have asked our community colleges to work with our veterans to make sure that that what they have obtained while in theater or while in the service can be transferred and can be recognized and be credentialed and result in some type of licensure in the Commonwealth of Virginia, so they can move into industry. I employ a few veterans in my family business, and I will tell you, as it relates to work ethic and dedication and determination and energy and enthusiasm, they bring so much to employment. It lifts, the whole organization because of their commitment and what they stand for. So we are a veterans community, and we should recognize and celebrate our veterans.
Now, just to build on that for a moment, how important and significant is the Virginia Values Veterans Program?
Great. It's and I'm pleased to say we have organizations in Norfolk. One in particular, one of our constitutional officers has hired a lot of veterans, and they're doing very well. And to value our veterans, to get them in employment, I think it's just a great testament to our commitment to them as they have been committed to us.
And as a member of the Finance Committee, I'm sure you're addressing the need for 2 new training facilities or service centers in the state of Virginia, one in Hampton Roads.
Yeah, so these are nursing homes, these are nursing facilities, but I have advocated that they should be more than just veteran care centers or nursing homes. I would like to see those centers to focus on wellness, focus on employment, focus on financial literacy, and all the services that a veteran need to continue to grow and prosper and to be well. I would like for these centers not only focus on the medical or nursing home or facility, but more of a wellness center, recreation, even for training, job training, workforce development. These centers will be wellness centers for our veterans in Northern Virginia and in Hampton Roads. I would like for the one in Hampton Roads to be in Norfolk, along the Little Creek Shore Drive corridor. We have a huge veterans community in the 2nd Congressional District. That's part of Virginia Beach and Norfolk, one of the largest veterans communities in the country. One of the largest is right here in Virginia, right in Hampton Roads.
And as we continue to create those, we have to comply with a Department of Justice settlement regarding closing others, do we not?
Yeah, some of the training centers.
Yes.
Yeah, some of the training centers, and we have closed some of the training centers, and it's the right thing to do. Southeastern Virginia Training Center, Northern Virginia Training Center, Central Virginia Training Center, and to move persons with certain disabilities into community, more modern settings, small settings, home settings, community-based care, and from all the statistical data that I've seen, individuals are doing very well. But however, there are some who should stay in a hospital setting, a skilled care setting, and those who may be fragile or very weak and wouldn't survive in a community-based setting or a residential-based setting. But for those who can, I think it's the right thing to do. And what they, when I meet and share with residents in our training centers, they often say, I want a life like yours. I want normalcy. And I think we should do everything we can to ensure that persons with disabilities have as a normal life as possible.
Now, another initiative you have pursued on behalf of veterans relates to a veterans docket, because
Yes.
veterans bring unique problems back from theaters of war. Talk to us about the need for that.
Well, we have drug courts. We have drug courts in Norfolk. Norfolk has a drug court. In most cases, courts can set their dockets. They can set their dockets, but you don't have a standalone, veterans court. But on any given day, the court, the clerk, or the chief of that particular court could say, we're going to hear all cases dealing or regarding veterans. I think that's a wonderful docket. However, to coordinate the various services to make sure that we get veteran services there. We can not only get veteran services there, but if we can get other social services and human services at the table, so that we can really unpack the issue, because the issue that the veteran or the offense that the veteran may committed may be related to post-traumatic stress or some other disorder that he or she may have suffered while in theater or while serving our country. And so to set veterans aside and to really understand and really unpack the cause of their offense, I think that that's something that we should do in Virginia because we have a huge veterans population because of our relationship, having the largest naval base in the world and having the Pentagon and other veteran or military-related facilities and installations in the Commonwealth. A lot of those individuals reside, they stay after being discharged, they stay here in Hampton Roads or stay in Northern Virginia, stay in Virginia. And so certainly we are unique, and because we're unique, we should recognize that and understand that veterans who may commit an offense may have some unique circumstances that we need to unpack and in a special way. So I'm all for having a veterans docket so that judges in the court can deal with all veteran cases in a certain manner, and to make sure all the resources and all the people who need to be there are there on that given day, so that we don't lose sight of why the veteran committed the offense in the first place.
Right. We got about a minute and a half
Yes.
left, but I wanted you to have an opportunity to talk about proton radiation therapy. As a matter of fact, I think there's a facility at Hampton University.
Yeah, it's one of the only stand-alone facilities in the country, not affiliated with a hospital. It's affiliated, of course, with Hampton University. Proton being therapy, treating persons with cancer, prostate cancer. I have recommended families to the center, and I know that some of my colleagues and former colleagues have used the center or have recommended families. It allows for the cancer or the treatment to be localized. The technology is so that it's so precise. It targets the cancer. It goes directly to the point and start treating or removing or reducing or eliminating the cancer without destroying healthy tissues and healthy cells. And usually persons, drive to the center on their own free will, and after treatment they leave. And I understand the side effects are minimal.
And your legislation would make sure that that continues, I take it.
Funding and continue and grow the center and awareness and let more Virginians know that they have options, not that we're against other surgeries, but this is an option to people to have more options as it relates to their health.
Great. Thank you for being with us, Senator Kenny Alexander.
Thank you, Woody.
Thank you for watching Cable Reports, brought to you by the Virginia Cable Telecommunications Association and Cox Communications. Until next time, I am Woody Evans.
Mm-hmm.